What if inflation dropped to zero? Um, Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that something fundamental has changed. Everything around you looks the same. Your bed, your room, the sunlight streaming through your window. But something feels off. What if money had stopped losing its value overnight? What if inflation had reached absolute zero? Would life become a paradise of stability and prosperity? Or would the world face unexpected chaos? How would businesses survive if prices never increased? Would debts remain frozen forever? And most importantly, what would happen to people's dreams of getting rich? Get ready to step into a world where money no longer inflates, but reality, perhaps, does. Now let's journey to this magical world. At first, people rejoiced. The morning headlines screamed, "Inflation hits absolute zero. Prices will never rise again." Rent wouldn't go up. Gas prices remained the same. A loaf of bread cost exactly what it did yesterday, and it would stay that way forever. It felt like a dream come true. Finally, financial stability. No more economic crashes, no more hyperinflation. Banks stopped printing new money. Governments announced that wages would remain fixed forever. It was a new era of economic peace. The first problem appeared when businesses realized they couldn't raise prices, ever. That meant no salary raises, ever. Workers soon noticed that their bosses had no reason to offer promotions. After all, if everything stayed the same, why pay someone more? Then came the debt crisis. Banks panicked. Since inflation had stopped, debt never lost its value. If someone owed $100,000, it would always be worth exactly that amount. People who had borrowed money decades ago, expecting inflation to reduce their real burden, were now trapped forever in loans they could never pay off. Meanwhile, investments collapsed. No inflation meant no stock growth, no real estate appreciation, no incentive to invest. Billionaires who had once relied on rising markets suddenly saw their wealth frozen in place. On the streets, a strange sense of stagnation took hold. No one hurried anymore. Why rush to buy a house if it would cost the same 10 years from now? Why start a business if prices never changed? Soon, a new black market emerged. Not for drugs or illegal goods, but for inflation itself. People began trading in time-based contracts, where they promised future payments that would increase over time, a secret form of artificial inflation. Governments tried to crack down, but humans had already adapted. Some cities introduced dynamic pricing zones, where inflation was allowed only in specific areas, creating hyper-expensive districts while others remained frozen in time. Meanwhile, underground movements started hoarding old, inflating currencies from before the shift. Some people even began trading in emotions and experiences, since money no longer grew in value. Society had split into two classes: those who adapted to this strange new economy, and those who remained trapped in a world that had stopped evolving. At first, a world without inflation sounded like a utopia. No more rising prices, no more economic instability. But in reality, it had stolen the very thing that made economies thrive: growth. Without inflation, businesses lost purpose, salaries stopped increasing, and debts became eternal shackles. People stopped taking risks. And so the biggest lesson was clear: stability without progress is just another form of stagnation. Would you trade growth for eternal financial security? Or is some level of inflation necessary to keep society alive? Would you want to live in a world where money never changes? Let me know what you think in the comments.